It's time to welcome the Wine Ladies with Georgia and Suzanne. An entertaining hour topped up with great ideas about wine, where to dine, anything and everything to do with the vine. Great conversation, lots of laughter, guests from all walks of life, food and wine, music, art, sports, and much more, all on the Wine Ladies.
Hi everyone,
we're the Wine Ladies. I'm Georgia.
And I'm Suzanne, and welcome to One Sip at a Time. We are so excited because we have been having a fantastic contest the past couple of weeks involving the Niagara-on-the-Lake area and the Niagara B&B Association. We've given almost $3,500 in prizes away so far.
And you know what? Niagara-on-the-Lake, one of the regional appellations of the Niagara Peninsula, is one of our most wonderful wine regions that we have in Ontario. And the thing about Niagara-on-the-Lake, there are so many things to do there. It is really an extraordinary place. In fact, you know what? I think it was voted out of the top 25 destinations in Canada by TripAdvisor. It was ranked the 12th top destination. So we have a lot of wonderful things that we're going to explore today, all on Niagara-on-the-Lake.
We've got three great guests that are going to be joining us here. Three that will be joining us here this afternoon. Our first guest is going to be Richard Mell from Grape Escape Wine Tours, and they do awesome wine tours all through Niagara-on-the-Lake, and I can hardly wait to hear what he's got to say this afternoon.
Yep, that's going to be very interesting. And then following up on that, after we learn about all the amazing things that there are to do in Niagara-on-the-Lake, of course there are some incredible places to stay while you're there also, which really rounds off your stay. So we're going to be welcoming Janet Jones, and she is the Technology Chair for the Bed and Breakfast Association of Niagara-on-the-Lake. And finally, there's also some wonderful gastronomy in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and Monique Galat is going to be joining us to address the beautiful culinary treats that we have there, and she's actually the owner of the Old Winery Restaurant.
And of course, we are going to be enjoying some wonderful wines as well from Niagara-on-the-Lake here this afternoon. So let's welcome our first guest, Richard. Welcome to the Wine Ladies.
Thank you very much for having me. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you as well.
Too.
You escaped.
I
Grape
did.
Escape.
I did. Yes.
How was your drive up here this afternoon?
It was pretty easy, yeah. Nice to find you guys and get here safely. So.
Fantastic.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing more about the tours that you do. I mean, the Grape Escape tours that's been going on about 8 years now, your company?
Yeah, my father started the company about 8 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I've been involved with the business for the last 3 years, kind of helping him kind of increase sales and things. So things are going really, really well. We're seeing a great kind of increase in tourism traffic, especially to the wine region in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Now, I have a question for you. Were you a wine lover before you got into this, or has it been a labor of love?
I've always been interested in wine as well as beer, obviously being from England, but yeah, wine's always been a big passion of mine, and it's nice to kind of increase my knowledge as being part of the tours as well.
So tell us, like, what would be a typical tour? Like, how many wineries do you typically do when you on your tours? Let's just say.
So we generally visit about 4 vineyards throughout the day. We pick guests up directly from their hotels, so they don't have to worry about driving anywhere. Take them to 4 different vineyards. We always make sure we include kind of a full facility tour, so the guests get to see behind the scenes, a bit of the production room, the barrel cellar, and then we have tastings at all 4 of those wineries.
And you brought in some wines from, I guess, these are from 3 different wineries,
Yes.
of which are part of your tours. So maybe you can just tell us a little bit about the wineries that are here and the different wines that you brought in.
Yeah, for sure. So we actually work with probably 20 to 25 of the wineries in Niagara-on-the-Lake. I just kind of chose 3 here. Obviously, we couldn't fit that much wine on the table.
No.
Right.
We could try, though.
We could try, yeah. So I brought a 2012 Riesling from Hinterbrook Winery, which is a relatively new winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake, small family-owned, family-operated property. We love visiting some of the bigger wineries too, but we also like to make sure people see some of the small boutique wineries as well that they may not find by themselves.
So Niagara-on-the-Lake does have a whole variety from the small boutique style to the huge wineries as well. It's wonderful.
I mean, the smallest winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Vignoble Rancourt, only has 8 acres of vineyard. So very, very small scale up to your large kind of corporate enterprises like Jackson Triggs and Inniskillen. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also brought a red blend from Culinary called Insieme, which means together in Italian.
Okay.
And I brought, obviously we can't go speaking about Niagara-on-the-Lake wineries without having some ice wine on the table.
Absolutely not.
Right.
So we brought the Vidal ice wine from Pillitteri Estates too.
Okay. Okay.
Now tell me, where do most of your clients come from? Are they more from the GTA, or what areas do
Yeah.
they
We
come
see,
from?
we see a high percentage from the GTA. Obviously, it's a great weekend getaway for people, you know, just over an hour's drive down the road. So I'd say probably 50 to 60% of our guests come from the GTA.
Well, that's what we're doing with this wonderful contest. Everyone who has an opportunity to win this prize, there were like 5 wonderful prizes, and every prize had a 1 or 2 night stay at a Niagara B&B. So you can stay overnight, absolutely.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
lots to do.
Yep.
You know what, in Niagara-on-the-Lake, like I remember reading somewhere, there's like a few quotes. I think actually when I was sort of checking out your website a little bit, first of all, Sir Winston Churchill, didn't he say that on the Niagara Parkway, it's the beautiful, most beautiful stretch he's ever sort of driven along for a Sunday drive.
Exactly, the
really
prettiest
stunning.
Sunday afternoon drive in the world.
And what are some of what makes it so pretty? What are some of the stops that they see or some of the attractions?
Well, there's a lot of historical sites driving down the parkway. You know, obviously, Niagara-on-the-Lake was a key element in the War of 1812, which we've
Yes.
just celebrated the bicentennial. That brought a lot of tourists to Niagara-on-the-Lake too.
Yeah.
So you've got kind of McFarland House, Laura Secord, you've got a lot of historical
lot of
sites
history.
all the way. A lot of history in Niagara-on-the-Lake too.
Yeah, and the food also, there's amazing food, wonderful restaurants there.
There certainly is,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We actually incorporate some of the restaurants into our tours. We do kind of lunch tours and
Okay.
dinner tours too. So, you know, people can visit a few wineries, enjoy a winery restaurant meal as well before we
Are
take them
people
home.
often surprised that we have such a fabulous wine industry here in Ontario?
I think that's a lot of my friends back in England. You know, when they found out what I was doing for a job over here, they kind of were surprised because the Canadian wine market, unfortunately, has not quite expanded as much as what we would like to overseas.
Right.
So it's nice to bring kind of the fact that Canada has these amazing wines and wineries to people that are not from Canada.
And it's not only all about ice wine, although
No.
that has helped us put us on the map.
Yes.
I mean, we are really making some extraordinary table wines, regular wines as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of cool climate varietals that really, really do grow well in Niagara-on-the-Lake because of the lake effect and the Niagara escarpment, which really helps to make Niagara-on-the-Lake such a great growing region.
Now, speaking of wine, we've got 3 bottles here on the
do.
table, and we've got 3 empty glasses. I think it's time we try
What kind
something.
of wine ladies and wine lady hosts are we anyway, Suzanne?
Obviously, not very good ones.
Well, I know there was one that was open, so that was the NCMA, is
Yes,
that the one
so
that's
this
open?
is the red
Okay.
blend from Culinary.
Alrighty,
So this has 4 varietals to make up the blend. It's
Okay.
36% Cabernet Sauvignon, 32% Cabernet Franc, 17% Merlot, and 12% Syrah.
okay.
So it's
And there's something very special about the way this wine is made, in the style in which it's made.
exactly, yeah. So 100% of the fruit that goes into this wine is actually dried in a greenhouse. So it's made Appassimento style,
Right.
which really intensifies the flavors of the wine. So.
Yes, yes.
Look at that color.
Wow.
What year is it?
So this one is a 2011, I
2011?
believe. Yes.
2011?
I think we should have a toast to this,
Yeah,
don't you think so?
cheers.
Cheers, yes.
Cheers. Very lovely, very, very rich and velvety, lots of flavor. Oh, that's absolutely wonderful.
The beauty of this wine is each sip you kind of get a different thing from it because it's got the 4 varietals in there.
Yes, I love the Culinary Estate. I love the people there too. Suzanne and I have been there a few times. Actually, they were on one of our tours as well.
Yeah, when we did an
We
ice
did.
wine tour.
Yes, yeah, they're lovely. And it's Andre that's the winemaker there, and I think he does almost all of the wines in this Appassimento style, does he not, over
Yes,
there?
yep, all of
Yeah.
their wines. I think there's only one wine that they have that doesn't involve the kind of Appassimento style of winemaking.
They've done very, very well, and the wines are wonderful there.
Yeah.
Now, if someone wants to book a tour with you guys, how do they do that?
So we have lots of ways to book. Obviously, we have an online booking system. They can visit our website at tourniagarawineries.com. They can give us a call at our office. So there's lots of ways to get in touch and book a tour.
And is there a variety of prices? Can people like book for like overnight or just go for a day, or
Yeah, we
how
can
does that work?
we do packages. We work very closely with the B&B Association, so we do kind of accommodation packages too. Or they can just book a winery tour if they're just kind of visiting for the day, varying from kind of $44 right the way up to $130 if they want kind of a dinner and wine pairing to be included.
And one thing about Niagara-on-the-Lake also is, you know, it's not only about the summer, I mean, there are always so many things to do there, whether it's spring, summer, fall, winter, and we have our Ice Wine Festival. And I heard actually there's something new that's coming out this year. I think
that?
it's called the Icebreakers Comedian Festival or something like that. Have you heard about that?
I haven't actually.
Comedy.
Yeah, they're going to have comedians going to all the local bars and the different restaurants. They're going to be pairing up wines with the comedians. I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but it's something new. Like it's another attraction that they're going to have there. So I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, it's great the way that the town works. You know, they really do kind of include things all year round to bring different people at different times of the year to try and keep everybody busy year round. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we should probably close this little section off for this afternoon, and we'll say hello to Janet Jones, who's going to be our next guest. So, Richard, thank you for coming in and sharing everything about your company.
You're welcome. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you in Niagara.
Yep.
So we've just had a wonderful conversation with Richard telling us about all the wonderful things there are to do in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And of course, if you're going to be going there and you're going to be staying a couple of nights, a weekend, or a week, it's very important to have the right destination to stay at. And Janet Jones here has that covered in a really big way. She's the technology chair at the Niagara-on-the-Lake Bed and Breakfast Association. Plus, she also has her own bed and breakfast called the Carbonell. So Janet, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thanks so much for having us.
So do tell, I mean, we did spend some time in Niagara-on-the-Lake last summer and did a tour of some of the
Yes.
B&Bs. Wow,
Fabulous.
what a terrific choice there is out there.
Unlimited supply.
Yeah.
Literally.
Something for everybody.
Well, and a
literally.
lot of us, right? There's about 136 members of the association.
Uh-huh.
And they represent small one-room only operations to, larger villas that are 5 rooms, but the majority are 3-room bed and breakfasts.
Okay.
And they are old, historic, and they are modern, and they are
Yes.
rural, and they are down right near the cenotaph. The easiest way I will tell people is if you go to the website, which is niagarabedandbreakfast.com, there's an ability to filter. So
Choose
each
what you
person,
want.
exactly. So if you need a king-size bed, if you need ground level entry, if you need 1 kilometer to the cenotaph, you can filter all those things.
Awesome, that's convenient.
It is.
And
Yeah,
and
great.
the contest we did last week was the 4th giveaway that we had, and your B&B was featured in
It
that.
is, yeah.
And the Ice Wine Festival, my God,
We're
that
excited.
was so popular. We had thousands of entries for that.
Well, it's January, and again, you talked to Richard about your core, demographic coming to Niagara-on-the-Lake, and
Yes.
certainly GTA is definitely it. And if you want to get away in January, which most of us do,
Yeah.
Yes.
we don't necessarily get to go all south. So
Just a little
just
south
a little
to
bit
Niagara-on-the-lake.
south for a change of scene and a
It's
little
so
wine
picturesque
never
and
hurts.
Pretty, with a
Right.
little bit of snow and a little bit of ice.
Yes, so it's lovely, and we're excited. It's my first winter in Niagara-on-the-Lake, so
Oh,
we're
really?
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's true. You
Okay.
said you were from Winnipeg originally.
Yes, we just
so
moved,
it's gonna
not
be warm for
originally,
you.
but most recently. Yeah, well, although the dampness is kind of interesting, but yeah, so it's just lovely. So it's fun, and and there's so much more to do than just wine as well.
Yes,
right? And that's we think, one of the big pluses of staying at a B&B is you get that personal experience. And so whatever your interests are, if it's cycling, then your host can send you off to the right cycling paths, whether
Right.
that's the Welland Canal or along the Parkway, or if you're into just walking or you want to hike the Bruce Trail.
Yes.
Those outdoor activities, golf, obviously. But if you're historical and you want to go to the museum, the art galleries, there's
Play,
a never-ending.
there's art,
oh,
there's
of course.
plays,
The Shaw
there's
Festival,
Shaw
which when you
Festival.
say, will people come for more than a couple of nights? I mean, we have had a number of guests that stay for a week and do the Shaw Festival.
Of course, there's the Days of Wine and Chocolate in February
Yes.
that's coming up as
A
well.
little bit tied to
Oh, goodness.
Valentine's, and that
Yes.
time of year is
There's a
perfect.
lot to do.
Well, and even through the winter, the Shaw Festival has a movie series.
Oh, I did
a film
see that.
series that they do.
Yeah, right. They have
So
like
there's-
documentary
Yeah,
series also,
different,
right?
some older movies, some classics that they show at the theater. So
Yeah.
it's something fun again, and a little indoor activity that.
And of course, the breakfasts at your B&Bs, eggs Benedict, whatever you want.
We
they
all
always do
have our
something lovely.
specialties.
What's
Yeah.
the specialty at your spot?
I do a stuffed baked French toast with a fresh blueberry sauce.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's lots of fun.
Stuffed
So.
baked French toast. What's it stuffed with?
Stuffed with a little cheese and sweet mixture, and then yeah, it's a lovely one.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's a little decadent, but you're on holidays.
About 25
Exactly.
calories, right?
Yeah, just low cal. Right, exactly.
I know when I was researching the Carbonell, I thought, wow, and I was going through some of the, oh, she's got great reviews.
Thank you.
Breakfast, gracious host.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it sounds lovely. It's
We have
like
lots
a
of
little
fun.
bit like a Tuscan style. A little
Well,
bit, is that kind of?
it's really, we're a country house for the most part, but we have
Okay.
one plus that perhaps most don't, which is we have a fully accessible suite for people in wheelchairs with a roll-in access ramp and roll-in shower, and so everything is
awesome.
really accessible. So.
Now, do most of the people that own B&Bs, do they live there full-time, or are they more weekend warriors?
Oh,
or
no.
how,
No, it's not just a job.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
your,
passion,
it's,
it's
well, and it's your home,
Right.
and that's the fun part of it too, right? That's why
never
most
lonely.
of us do it. No, and you're doing it for that purpose, the fun to meet. And breakfast is always the most exciting because you've got often 3 different couples, and they're sitting around the breakfast table meeting each other and talking
Yeah.
about their own experiences. And we had a great one. We had a couple from Slovenia, a couple from Australia, and a couple from Toronto at the same breakfast.
Wow.
And the conversation is just, it's so much fun to listen
Yeah.
to and to hear them enjoy each other and tell their stories, and they go all over the place, the conversations.
And it's like you traveling with them. I mean, that must be really fun just to
It
meet
is.
the different characters, right?
Well, and sometimes, we've traveled to the same places, and so there's lots of different comparative stories as well.
Yeah.
And people are there, some of them for special occasions. We had a couple that were doing their bucket list tour, 3 months around the world, and Niagara Falls was one. So, of course, lots of people visit the falls and stay in the Niagara-on-the-Lake. It's a little quieter environment, perhaps. So.
Yeah.
Now,
For
we-
those who
we-
don't know, oh,
Sorry, we asked Richard what people thought of the wine here in Canada, and from your perspective, from people that stay at the B&Bs, what do they think of Canadian wine?
Most of them are strongly supportive, especially lots of them come specifically for the wine tours, but we've had plenty of visitors from Europe who are uninitiated in Canadian wine, and my husband is a sommelier and a wine guru.
Okay.
So and a very strong fan of Canadian wines, even though he's from France. So he's often encouraging and sending people off to try things that are different. And,
Nice.
and it's exciting when they come back after those experiences and talk about how great that experience was and how,
Yeah.
not necessarily surprised, but how pleasant, the wines were. So it's fun. It's fun when the wine is the big part of it.
yeah, for sure. And Niagara-on-the-Lake, for those who don't know, is not that far from Niagara Falls. Like, how long does it take to get from the falls to?
20 minutes at tops.
Yeah.
And you talked about the Parkway before. I mean, it is one of the most beautiful drives to
Yeah.
take people into the falls, right? And then you end up at the falls sort of by accident almost.
Right.
And it's wonderful, right? And people enjoy it year round. When it's covered in snow, it's a whole nother experience.
What's your favorite time to go to Niagara-on-the-Lake, would you say? Do you have a favorite?
I like the fall because I love the colors as they change, and when you see the bench, the escarpment as you come
Yeah.
in and you see those. And it's a little bit quieter, so for me, I kind of enjoy that experience where you have a little bit more
After the
time.
harvest? Just after
Well,
the
no, because the
harvest?
harvest goes on a lot longer than I thought, right? They start quite early, and they sometimes keep going for
Yeah.
quite late. This year was a very prolonged harvest, as I understand. So there's lots going on, and when you get to the vineyards, you sometimes will get into the vineyard itself, and they'll show you that process too. So it's a very interactive experience.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And do you have a favorite place, like when it comes to the cuisine? Do you have like a special stomping ground where you like to go to?
We're still testing it out because we're relatively new. So that was our winter project, to check out all the restaurants. We have a book that the B&B Association publishes.
let's see that.
Okay.
What's that?
And it's a restaurant menu guide.
Oh,
And what the restaurants do is they put their menus actually in it in one
Okay.
place. So our guests then can wander through it
Oh, that's
and see the
great.
menus and see what they're looking for.
Fantastic.
And so, it's an easy way to support the restaurants and an easy way for the restaurants to connect to our guests.
yeah.
Well, our next guest is actually a owner of one of the
She's on the
nicest
cover.
restaurants in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and that's Monique Glatt from the Old Winery Restaurant, of which we have enjoyed a number of
Yes.
times. So she's going to be joining us next. Thank you so much for joining us
Well,
this
thank you
afternoon.
both. It's been fun.
Thank
Okay.
you, Janet.
All right, well, we've talked a little bit about the wonderful places that you can stay at Niagara-on-the-Lake, and of course the wines, but a big part about Niagara-on-the-Lake is the awesome restaurants and foods that they have there. So our next guest is Monique Glatt Laundry from Old Winery Restaurant, who is now joining us, and she is of course, brought some vino with her as well. And we've actually been to your restaurant. It is a fabulous spot, and your pizza is to die for.
Thank you.
We're so disappointed we don't have any of that delicious pizza here today, but
We wouldn't have traveled really well.
no, you were in town yesterday, I guess,
Yes,
right? So,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, we've
we'll
been
just
on-
have to come back and come back to the winery, to the restaurant and have it again.
Well,
So
we've
good.
been on a bit of a program anyways, in terms of like watching our calories. So I don't know, do you have like whole wheat pizza there?
We have a spelt pizza dough now.
Oh, okay.
go.
A lot of the customers that come in are gluten-free or low gluten. We have all kinds of different dietary restrictions now, more so than the last few years. Like lately, it's been. So we're trying really hard to, devise different recipes for people's intolerances. But whole wheat crust, we haven't got that. We haven't
Okay.
got that.
That's okay, we can have the gluten-free. We're allowed to have the white flour anyway, as long as it's not like the whole pizza. Right? That's where it becomes
But how
a
do you
problem.
resist the whole pizza? That's the whole question.
I don't know, you're asking me?
The pizzas aren't very caloric dense. They're not that bad because the crust is so incredibly thin.
That's
and,
true.
And because the crust is so incredibly thin, Tony, who made the recipe for the pizza, did not want a lot of ingredients, so that he'd call it a sad pizza, a happy pizza. So they had to stay flat when someone was eating it, and it wouldn't fall on their lap. So there's not a lot of ingredients, and the crust is very thin. So in terms of choices in a restaurant, it's not a bad one.
Okay.
Oh, there you go, yeah. So let's talk about the culinary scene a little bit in Niagara-on-the-Lake. What is the Niagara cuisine? I saw an article on that, and I was like, wow, how do you wrap your head around that? What is that? Is it local? Like, what is it?
Niagara cuisine
Yeah.
is pretty much everything now. We have Thai, we have fine dining, we have Mediterranean cuisine. We have everything now.
Yeah.
There are probably, I was looking at the B&B book that Janet brought. There are 29 listings there, and Niagara-on-the-Lake, the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, there are only the whole area is only 15,000 people.
So
when
they
you're
eat
looking
out
at
a lot.
30 Well, yeah. The winter it's kind of tough sometimes, unless they're having festivals and the like. But they do have a lot of choices. That's why a lot of people like to retire there. There's just so much going on for a very small town. If you went to a small town somewhere else, there'd be the Chinese restaurant, the Greasy Spoon, and
Yeah.
Yes, it's quite a
the hotel.
It's country,
unbelievable.
but it's a very sophisticated
Right.
air about it, for definitely.
And you have all kinds of choices. You have your winery restaurants, which are
Yeah.
5-star dining, very renowned chefs all over Canada. And then you have your less expensive fare at the medium, right? And then you have your diners as well. So, and then there are gelati places, there are delis downtown, there's just everything. There's a Chinese food restaurant downtown, and then there's a Thai restaurant on Lakeshore, Ginger's, which is awesome. So
We ate there. I think we ate there at Ginger's, actually. Yes, we did. It was really,
That's
really
very
good.
good.
Yeah.
And of
yeah.
course, they all have wonderful wine lists with local wonderful wine from Niagara-on-the-Lake.
well,
And-
many of the restaurants don't bring any imports. We have, I think, 5 on our list, and we have 103 wines on our wine list.
So that makes a lot of sense. Might as well go local.
We do. And if someone actually orders an import at my restaurant, and if they've ordered it from me, I will say, well, I can give you a Niagara wine that's just as good or better than that one at the same price point. And they'll say, oh, well, what if we don't like it? I'll say, if you don't like it, I'll drink it.
And I bet you're not drinking very much because they're all so good. So like,
No, they never come back. So there you go.
and it's really changed a lot too. Like, I don't know, like over the last, 5-10 years, like the region is attracting, like you said, a lot of these top chefs.
Yes, and a lot of people come for the wine now. It used to be everybody used to come for the Shaw Festival,
Yeah.
which is still a good draw, but it's the demographics are different. People who come for the wineries are
A little younger.
They're
Yeah,
younger.
Shaw's a little older,
And the people, yes, exactly. So we don't have that huge rush at 5 o'clock like we used to.
Early bird specials.
No, the early seating. Well, it's very much a retirement town, but the tourists are not all retirees or, going to the Shaw anymore. And
Right.
the wineries have just done a bang-up job of advertising the area. And of course, they make fantastic wines.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And I think also they are, everyone's kind of working together as an association, like the B&B Association, to get the word out about the wonderful places to stay. And also now with all your restaurants, there's so many things to see and do. It's wonderful. And what about some of this sparkling that you brought with us?
this is,
afternoon?
I think, John, it's from Megalomaniac. It's a bubblehead. We put it on a house pour, so we sold it by the glass for a while, and everybody that had it loved it. So
I like the name. Bubblehead. It puts you in a bubbly mood right off the bat.
All Megalomaniac's wines are very clever. So you want me to open this?
Sure, yeah,
I
let's
will
give it a
not,
shot.
All right. We don't have any wine flutes or champagne flutes, but anyway, all his wines have interesting names. Son of a bitch. Let me see. It's all about me. Narcissist Riesling.
What's interesting about that, it's all about me, narcissistic Riesling, but actually it's not all about him, because you were saying that a lot of the profits go to...
For hospitals, children's hospitals across the country to bring them. He's set up a network. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but so that he found that the children wanted to communicate with other children in the same, in the same situation and conditions, and so they. A lot of the profits go towards that, and I actually just found that out last year, and I thought, well, I'm going to send more of his wine.
Very nice. Yeah, absolutely. It's that little added something special that sort of pushes you, to want to enjoy their wine when you see something.
Woo! There you go. No matter how many times we've done that, it always surprises me.
That was fast. It went past me.
At least it didn't go like scurrying off and, hitting somebody off there in the audience or hitting a camera or something like that, which wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
Is this Pinot Noir, or what
Yes,
kind
I
of
think,
sparkling wine do we
yes,
have here?
It is Pinot Noir. It's pink, and it's lovely. Try it. You'll love it.
And I think it's quite reasonable in the price, you were saying,
It is.
right,
It's
Wendy?
in the low 20s.
Awesome.
I'll just turn it around.
I love his
so-
labels, and the man himself he's a character in his own right anyways. A very, very nice, colorful man also. And,
Yes, he
and
is.
obviously a very good, generous man as well.
Yes.
Beautiful nose.
Yeah. Somebody asked us, we were actually doing another show the other day, and somebody was saying, when it comes to the holidays, what's like a great wine to serve over the holidays? And you know what, we always say bubbly is a really good way to go for a lot of reasons.
And people say, so what do you pair with champagne? I said, absolutely everything.
Right, exactly.
Goes with everything.
It does, it really does.
And what else have you brought here this afternoon?
I just picked this one up. It's 2012 Gamay from Fielding Estate Winery, also on the bench, as well as Megalomaniac.
Okay.
It's
This
just
year's Grape
delicious.
King, Curtis Fielding.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, Gamay is done really well in Niagara, and it's not something people say, can I have a Gamay? They'll say, can I have a Cab Sauv? Can I have a Chardonnay? But Gamays are just unbelievably good in Niagara, and it's the same grape as Côte de Beaujolais in France.
Yeah.
And this one's delicious. 2012, apparently, I've heard this many times, going to be the best year ever.
Ever, wow.
Ever.
Wow.
So the reds are going to be great. The whites are always good. The Chardonnays are always good.
Yeah.
Depending on the Rieslings are always good. The reds do really well on those hot years, like the 2007 vintage, the 2010 vintage, and this vintage apparently, which is best ever.
And here's a
Look
nice
forward
white.
And that's from Southbrook.
Oh, yes, the organic winery.
Biodynamic.
Yeah, we actually did a yoga in the vineyard this summer with these guys.
Oh wow.
It was amazing. We actually did yoga in the vineyard. It was
Were
like
you
a
drinking wine
religious.
and
After.
doing downward dog?
It was like a
Downward dog.
religious experience. It was just, wasn't it, Georgia? It
Yeah,
was
among the
spectac-
sheep, it was no, really,
It was,
great.
This
The
is
sheep
a
were roaming around us.
Special winery.
I love those sheep. I drive by there all the time.
They're
I
so
think,
cute.
Oh, yeah, they are. They
It
are.
has another dimension. I don't know. It's like you're right there among the vineyards, and the sheep are roaming around, and you know what? It adds to the experience. It really does.
In Pondview, this is Lou, our friend Lou.
Yeah. Another former Grape King.
Yes, that's
Yes,
true.
That's right. Lou,
This
yeah.
Cab Sauv, the year is 2010, is, I'd put this beside any California $70 cab sauv.
Is that right, eh?
Absolutely, it's delicious. It's delicious,
Wow.
and it'll probably be a lot better in a couple of years. You could cellar it for a couple of years, but it's amazing.
And how much does it sell for about, do you know?
I do believe it's somewhere around $29, $30.
Wow.
We sell it by the glass, and everybody that has it says, so where's this winery?
Uh-huh,
So-
yeah. Awesome. Well, he does a great job.
He does. He
And
really
they say,
does.
you know, it starts in the vineyard. And so here we have, like, he was a grape king, and also Curtis was a grape. Actually, you know what I heard recently about Fielding Estates is that apparently people have, there's some investors that have been coming up to Curtis and Heidi, I think, saying, do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? And they're, nope, we're all good, we're all good. So we're talking about, like, that speaks to, I think, the level of where our Ontario wine industry has come is when we're starting to get all this investment and all this interest from around the world. There's a lot of French people, a lot of French companies like from
And
Burgundy.
winemakers from all over the world as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
I really think that's a great nod to the Niagara
Australia is
wine
not
country.
much bigger than, than Canada, and they have great international reputation.
True.
I don't know how they did that. However, I'm the biggest fan of Niagara wines. If I go to a restaurant and they haven't got a Niagara wine, particularly if they're really close to Niagara,
Sure.
Yeah.
I will say, so, where's your Canadian wine?
Uh-huh, good
Yeah.
for you.
It's down the street.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, we don't like Canadian wine.
Oh.
Have you tried?
Yeah.
So I've
yeah.
convinced a lot of my friends and my family to, okay, try this, you're going to love it. Try this, you're going to love it. Now they buy it all the time. So it's just a matter of, getting people trying the wines and not thinking of, Brights from 25 years
Oh
ago.
my
Yeah,
God.
you have to get over that, folks. Like, oh my goodness, we've grown up, we've matured, we've got some fantastic wines.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, and to go with all the great food, obviously, again, like we were saying in Niagara-on-the-Lake. So just want to, again, like reiterate to everybody, come out to Niagara-on-the-Lake. There's
And
so much
stay
to
at
do.
a Niagara B&B.
Yeah.
Now the B&Bs are, some of them are, oh, wow.
So we have one more contest in January,
Mm-hmm.
one more great prize to give away, and that is going to be a stay in Niagara-on-the-Lake in February during the Days of Wine and Chocolate. And we actually did a tour last year on
We
that,
did.
and it was spectacular. So make sure you visit Niagara B&B website and come out to the Old Winery restaurant, try their pizza, and their salads are amazing as well, and a great wine list. And thanks so much, Monique.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Great to see you. And happy holidays.
Okay, you too.
We are in the beautiful, quaint, and historic town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, found on the southern shores of Lake Ontario, where the Niagara River ends its journey into the Great Lake.
And we feel quite at home here in Niagara-on-the-Lake because we're surrounded by beautiful vineyards, stunning wineries with all award-winning wines, and they have an incredible culinary program here as well. And if you want to stay for a night or maybe several nights, they have fabulous bed and breakfasts here to enjoy, from the traditional to the contemporary to even the country style, even small cottages as well.
There is so much to experience here at Niagara-on-the-Lake, from the Shaw Festival Theatre, spas, miles, to ride and to bike, and museums, and just an incredible place. They have it all here. What a gem of a destination. No wonder it was ranked 12th out of the top 25 destinations in Canada. We invite you all to come on Niagara on the Lake. You'll be so glad you did.